What effect did what happened to Irv have on Ari's emotional stability?
I think Ari was very, very, very strong. In light of what happened to Irv, I think that the circumstances surrounding my son's death, it had nothing to do with his dad. It was, but it would never have happened if Irv had been alive. None of this would have happened. The whole world would be very, very different if my husband had stayed alive. I know that my son, my baby, he wouldn't be here now.
He wouldn't be here in the cemetery.
No.
If
Irv had lived, Ari would not be dead. But
who do you believe was responsible for Irv's death?
The government's responsible. If my husband closed his eyes and jumped off the third floor, the government's still responsible because he didn't do anything wrong. Irv did nothing wrong. They wouldn't let him out. Everybody knew what Irv looked like. He couldn't get through LAX without a passport. He was willing to give the government his passport so he couldn't get out of the country. My mother was willing to put up all her property. They wouldn't do it because they knew he was going to die in prison. He was going to die, and that's what happened. I think that he knew. I think that my husband knew that
he was being set up.
Absolutely, he was being set up.
And did the government have a good enough case?
No. I am totally convinced, absolutely 100% sure that Irv would have walked. It was a stupid arrest. He didn't do anything. It was all what the FBI informant said. And I don't know what Earl Krugel's involvement was. And the only reason why my husband was in there was because Earl kept begging him, come out to dinner with us. And that was the last dinner my husband had before being arrested.
Because there was an undercover infiltrator.
And the only thing, yes, and the only thing tying my husband to this arrest was that he asked what kind of gunpowder the guy had bought. Because how many Jewish guys know Unique is a brand of gunpowder? It's so unfair. It's so unfair. And seeing what goes on, how this country has mollycoddled
the jihad.
Absolutely.
The jihad?
The jihadists, the Islamic terrorists, and they're all over this country. They're all over here. It's scary. It's very scary.
Do they want to coexist with American Jewry?
Who?
The Muslims in America?
They want to kill us. The Muslim, we're not talking about the average Muslim, like the average American, whatever. But we're talking about dangerous Islamic jihadists who are here. They want to kill every Jew and Christians too. They don't like Christians.
Would it be solved by creating a Palestinian state alongside Israel?
There's no such thing as Palestine. I think that's one thing that the Jewish community should have done in the beginning. Just as Rabbi Kahana said, there is no such thing as Palestine. It was I'm sure that you've covered how this Palestine got its name. It was Judea. And a wonderful thing that Benjamin Netanyahu said recently was, how can they say that we shouldn't Judaize Jerusalem, that Jerusalem shouldn't be Jewish? It was
land.
called Judea because it was the land of the Jews. So I think that as far as things in Israel, I think things are better, because I think that with Hamas joining with the Palestinian Authority, they've made it very clear that they just want us dead. They want every Jew dead. They don't recognize Israel. They don't recognize the rights of Jews. And I'm glad they came out and told the truth. I'm glad that Mazan, Abu Mazan, I don't know.
Mazan? Abbas?
Yeah, Abbas and Mazan. They're the Palestinians. They wanted people to think they were a poor and Israel, this apartheid crap. Finally, people who matter, people who are sitting in our government, we definitely have friends. Definitely have friends. And again, if I really think that there's a moral compass, and if it's good for the Jews, it's good for the world. If it's bad for the Jews, it's bad for humanity. So,
what kind of a lesson do you think you might say untimely, premature, early deaths of both Irv and Ari should teach the Jewish people about their own self-defense?
I think that the Jewish people should realize that they can't wait for there's no more Irv Rubin who can come fight their battles for them. It's time to get a gun. It's time to take self-defense classes. You never know what's going to happen. And a lot of JDL people followed our ideology, and they're in Israel now. So if you don't want to see this country, this country's going downhill unless we get new legislators and stop the ridiculousness of this pro-Muslim government.
Would that extend to a Hillary White House? To a Hillary Clinton administration?
I cannot believe that any Jew could support Hillary Clinton. When it was told to me that when Clinton her husband ran for governor the first time and lost, she ran all over yelling, "Those effing Jews, those effing Jews." Yes. And I'm sorry, I believe it. And
is there a need for Jews to organize, you think, on a local basis, if not nationally?
I think that people should start. If JDL will go on, we have new leaders. I think Jewish people should get involved with organizations such as JDL.
Isn't JDL technically on the FBI's terror list today?
No, absolutely not. At JDL, it was an FBI handbook. It wasn't the FBI Washington. It was just a handbook, and we are not. They would have closed us down. Come on, if you're a terrorist organization and you are going around doing your business out in the open, if you were a terrorist, don't you think that they would shut you down and take your computers and do all that? They didn't do that with us. Come on. That's a lie being foisted onto people so that they don't get involved, because Jewish people tend to be a little afraid anyway, just because sometimes they feel that they don't want to draw attention to themselves. But
Do you think Jonathan Pollard is today suffering because of the same Jewish pacifism?
Jonathan Pollard is suffering because of that dog Weinberger, who made up whatever Weinberger said about Pollard. It has been following Pollard all this time, and nobody wants to let him out. And it was Weinberger that made his name be erased. He wanted to get him, and that was only because Weinberger couldn't stand it that he had a Jewish grandfather. He should have changed his name. And poor Jonathan Pollard. At first we thought, hey, if this guy has done something terribly wrong, Jews are not perfect people. We're not perfect. If you do something wrong, you pay the price. And that's how we felt at first, until the truth was coming out, how he saved Israel. They were able Pollard saved Israel. Pollard saved Israel because of the Iraqi nuclear reactor that they bombed, because this country wouldn't tell Israel.
Which they were contractually obliged to?
Absolutely. You know your stuff, Scott.
Does the apathy towards Pollard's incarceration and the apathy towards prosecuting the case against the government, what does that say to the enemies of the Jews?
That they have carte blanche to do whatever they want. When you have a guy sitting in the White House who has proven that his heart belongs to Islam, and he won't release his college records. I think it's because he went to school as a foreign student. I think that there's just too much, and he shows his contempt of the Jewish people all the time by whitewashing the real desires of the Islamic world. And when he went, his first trip when he was in office was to go to Egypt to address all the Muslims of the world, because now they had the presidency. It's real. And Hillary Clinton will be as bad and will be as terrible to Israel as Obama, because the left hates Israel. They really do. The only saving grace is that there are still Democrats who are pro-Israel. But as those Democrats get replaced by Republicans, then you'll see a much better American foreign policy. We screw over our friends. That's what the last 5 years of 6 years.
You mean the Obama America?
The Obama administration has screwed over all our friends, and even Saudi Arabia is not happy with Obama, and they're really no friends of Jews either. So that's how bad it is. But I look forward to a peaceful, happier world, one way or another.
Will it occur under Jewish pacifism?
Never. Jewish pacifism is, we're not the pacifists. Our Bible is not like that. We have to be proud we're Jewish. We have to have more Jewish babies. We have to be proud of what we are and not deny it in any way. And
stand up when one of us is wrongly accused?
Absolutely. But people are afraid. And sadly, I understand. I wish they weren't, though. You have to get some guts, people. They have to get some guts and stand up for what's right. What is your life worth if you can't stand up for what's right.
So